Alright, finally got this clear. So, I'm going to be talking about my routing strategies, anything interesting about the patterns or enemies, and in between my general thoughts on the game. In Stage 1 there's not a whole lot going on, so I'm probably just going to be talking about how the game works. In this game you can get 3 extra extends, or extra lives. 2 of them come from score, and 1 of them is hidden in the 5th stage. And unfortunately in this mode, you are not really going to be able to get the score extends just by playing for survival. You really have to optimize your score. And so in stages 1 through 3, I have kind of routed to do that. In stages 4 and 5, I don't really worry about it. I've got plenty of points by then. So how the scoring in this mode works is, you've got a wide shot and a laser shot. You see the wide here is my red-orange shot, and then I can switch to the blue laser shot. And when you're shooting enemies or killing them with the wide shot, that little meter at the top left goes up. And when it's in the blue and you kill an enemy, you're going to get the small yellow gems. And when it's in the red, you're going to get the big yellow gems. And these gems increase that counter up there. And they don't really give you many points, but when the bar is empty and you kill an enemy with the laser, they're going to drop the blue gems, which use up the counter to give you a lot of points. So it's kind of a cycle of building up your counter and then spending it all on a big cancel to get a lot of points. There's a little more to it than that. When you pick up the yellow gems within 2 seconds, so it's like 48 frames of them spawning, they're worth double their value. And when the bar is in the red area and you kill an enemy with the laser, it's going to drop double the yellow gems. So I'm going to be using both of those a lot. In fact, on this first pattern at the end, I'm going to be right here killing with the laser to get double the gems. And on this second pattern, I'm going to be not shooting him for the first part of it, so that this part of the pattern lasts a little longer and get more of these blue gems out of it. And that's the first stage. Actually, that dinosaur is kind of metal. I mean, it looks like all his innards are gone, like his eye sockets are black, but he's still running. I mean, he's running all the way till he explodes at the very end. There's this little in-stage bonus. It's not usually worth very much. You get points for how many yellow gems you picked up, so I guess they are kind of worth some points. And some points for how many bombs you had left, and whether you didn't lose a life or not. So, moving into stage 2, I'm going to say I do not like this stage. It's really awkward. It's not that bad if you're not playing it for score, but I really have to get that second extend. Speaking of which, the first one is at 100 million points. I'm at 40 million right now, and the second one's at 250 million. I expect to get the second one in stage 5, usually. Even though I don't play it for score, you still get a significant amount of points just playing for survival in that one. But this stage, yeah, not too bad, just for pure survival, but when you're optimizing it for score, there's a lot of tricky sections. The boss can be a little rough, but once you play it enough, you can get consistent at it. Except for its last pattern, I usually plan to bomb that. That is usually my first bomb of the run. Here's kind of the fun part. A lot of stuff going on the screen. I try to get 2 cancels out of this. Here, I'm getting the yellow gems and then going for another blue cancel on this icicle. And I always have to remind myself not to go after that power-up item. This turtle here, not too bad. There's just a lot to keep track of though, because I want to make sure there's enough bullets on screen to cancel, and I've got to manage his health and my meter so I can get these double gems. But, outside of getting trapped by those big gray balls, not too much of an issue. I want to make sure I'm coming into the boss with a full counter, because I plan to get a blue cancel on its first phase, and then again on its second phase. So, how did I like this game overall? compared to Resurrection, I think this game is better for survival. In Resurrection, there's a lot of patterns that are just extremely difficult, even though overall it's a much easier game with the auto-bomb at least. But in this game, it feels like pretty much every pattern is dodgeable. Reasonably dodgeable. I mean, even in Resurrection, you could dodge everything, but some of it's a little absurd. In general, this is definitely my most difficult clear. And also my first cave game where I've actually had to deal with bombs. Like I said, in Resurrection, I played with auto-bomb. I don't really like having to deal with resource management. It kind of takes away from the raw dodging gameplay the part that I really enjoy. It kind of sucks the fun out of it. It's a lot more stressful, you know, having to, with every difficult pattern, wonder, okay, how much am I going to trade off, you know, being ready to bomb, or going all in, balls to the walls, trying to dodge this thing. You know, I prefer just being able to dodge everything without having to worry about bombs. And you can see I get a bunch of extra counter there. If I were really going for score, I would also do this attack for counter, and then cancel it for the blue gems on the last attack. But on the last pattern, like I said, I plan to bomb because it can be quite difficult. So may as well just play it safe. You know, the one extra bomb isn't going to make too much of a difference in the long run. This is the pattern. Right here, I get caught between two of those strands, which is where I usually bomb it. And that's stage 2. Stage 3, moving into stage 3, I would say stage 3 is actually significantly easier than stage 2. The routing is very consistent, or at least the routing I came up with. I never really had many issues. Even if I mess up the scoring parts, which is easier than in stage 2, I can always bounce back from it. There's backup strategies. These little nests here make it really easy to get the double gem cancel because they spawn enemies that you can kill with the wide shot, and then you just use the laser whenever you want to. Even though it is more consistent, I definitely do plan to use more resources here. There are definitely more difficult patterns, but it's rare that I get caught out by something I'm not expecting. When you're trying to clear these games with limited resources like this, they become more of a puzzle game than you would expect. You should plan where you're going to spend your bombs. Really, every movement has to be planned out. You cannot just fly through it by the seat of your pants. I mean, maybe in stages 1 and 2 that'll work, but it is not going to work out. You're just going to get walled off in later stages. And those beetle enemies, you can fly up to the front of them and kill them faster, but if you stay near the bottom, those little balls they shoot out, you get counterpoints just by hitting those, and they never die, so better to milk them. And here I killed this enemy a little later than I could, just to keep some of those enemies from spawning. This pattern's really annoying. I just could not figure out a super consistent way of doing it. It's very RNG based, and I can't really bomb it because I want to make sure this boss stays alive long enough to prevent some enemies from spawning after it dies. And I'm going to manage its health a little bit here for that as well. You've probably noticed by now that when there's a lot going on screen, like a lot of bullets or explosions, the whole game slows down. And this is... I'm playing on the Xbox 360 port of this game. This was originally an arcade game, and the slowdown was accounted for by level designers because the CPU of the arcade machine itself could not handle all of this. So the level designers would take this into account when designing the patterns. And this, to actually, make a real port of this game, it has to be taken into account, otherwise it's just going to be completely unplayable. But you can actually take a little bit more advantage of this by using the wide shot, which has more projectiles, so it can cause the game to slow down. And I used that on that mid-boss's last pattern. I could have been using the laser shot, but I used the wide shot to slow it down, especially when the red rings are coming at you. And there's a couple other situations I'll be using that. This section of the stage is very precise. You have to do everything right or you're going to die. These burrowing enemies, the green ones, I don't even know what bug that is. Maybe like a leaf cutter or something? Well, that's a kind of ant, but they're very deadly. If they get to the bottom of the screen and shoot at you from behind while you're doing something else, it's not going to be good, so you have to make sure you kill them as soon as possible. This pattern is very RNG based. This second part here, you can get bad luck, like I did, or you can get good luck, and it's pretty easy. So the bomb depends on what kind of luck I get that day, or that run. And other than that, there's one other pattern that I'll be planning to use a bomb on. And here I'm going to again be using the wide shot to slow things down. Even though using the laser shot is it does significantly more damage. Even if all the wide shots hit, the laser shot does more damage. Although, I'm not totally sure that that's entirely accurate with slowdown. I'm not sure, but I think when the game slows down, it doesn't slow down equally. I think player actions are not slowed down as much. That includes your shots coming out. So it's possible you might be doing more damage with the wide shot when it causes slowdown. And this is a pattern I always planned to bomb, but I kind of just got through it and realized, oh, it's over. I guess I just got lucky RNG, or I picked a good route. And on this pattern, you want to make sure you're on the opposite side of the boss, just to give yourself a little more room. Unfortunately, I felt a little trapped there, panicked a bit, bombed, even though I probably could have dodged it. Well, I did dodge that. And that's the boss gone. So yeah, stage 4, like I said, I routed purely for survival, and unfortunately in that stage, at least in my survival route, you don't get many points at all off of that. And this moth here, we're going to see a few of these in this level. They are very dangerous enemies. Not too bad on their own, but even then, if you're, I won't say unlucky, but if you don't manage to route it well enough, you're going to get hit, or you can get hit. But they are very deadly when in combination with other enemies. A lot of my routing was taken from a no-miss, no-bomb video that I found for this mode. It's very helpful, especially for this stage. I was struggling a little bit for the second half of it to come up with a good route. Although I didn't copy it exactly, I had some good stuff in it. From installing this game, it took me 9 days to beat it. But I spent a lot of time during those 9 days playing it. I expect to lose a life on this stage. It would take a lot of good bomb management and pattern RNG in the previous stages, or just some great dodging to avoid that. But on stages 1 through 3, if I take a hit, I just restart. In general, I want to keep as many resources as possible for the final boss, who is absolutely brutal. Definitely the hardest boss I've beaten in one of these games. This spider boss is quite difficult. This first pattern can either get you really trapped, or it's not too bad. You can misdirect it by flying above the spider, but I just never really practiced that too much. I kind of lucked my way through those dodges in the first 2 attacks, and paid for it in that third attack. just deserved, I guess. And like Stage 3, Stage 4 gets quite a bit more difficult after the mid-boss. Those flying beetle enemies, they need to be killed as soon as possible. They're very difficult. And they have a lot of health, such that if you're just shooting around with your wide shot, you might not get them. So they need to be focused down with the laser. In these cave games, possibly all of them, but definitely all the ones I've played, there is a significant delay between switching from your wide shot to the laser shot. And if you hadn't already noticed, the wide shot you move faster than with the laser shot. And of course the slow movement is quite useful during certain patterns. This is in contrast to Touhou, where it's pretty much instant. So it makes a big difference. It's harder to use the switching in the middle of a pattern in this game compared to Touhou. I'm not sure how much I like that. It makes the gameplay a bit more strategic. You really have to plan kinda a few seconds in advance how you're gonna swap your shots. Whereas in Touhou it's more intuitive. I think I like the Touhou implementation a bit better. It makes a big difference in terms of your damage output as well. The switching time, you're not shooting at all. And here we're gonna face one of the two very difficult moths. I don't want to bomb that moth, but I got caught by a stream of bullets that actually I had prepared for. They always show up there when I route it that way. But this moth is just insane. I either bomb or die there. It's definitely dodgeable, but possibly the least consistent part of this entire game. And this boss is where the bosses get quite difficult. Well, from here there's only two, counting this one, so. But this first pattern, just a little bit of streaming, nothing crazy. This pattern, it can be very easy or kind of difficult. I got bad luck here. But sometimes you can just sit pretty in between the red gaps. This pattern is completely static, and if you just follow this route, you should be fine, unless, you know, you're not good at dodging. And just don't forget about those quick shots, and that's caught me once in a real run. This pattern is very difficult. I always plan to bomb it. If those first red shots were aimed, it would be extremely more manageable, but they're not. And the bombing reduces his health enough to prevent the last attack of this phase, which is also extremely difficult. Maybe it's not, honestly. It seems like I just get completely walled off by it, but maybe there's a trick I haven't figured out. And this last pattern is not too bad. I use the wide shot slowdown to great effect here whenever the stream bullets come through, and I have to walk through the random purple ones. The biggest risk here is getting walled off while you're trying to outrun those purple streams. But I got through pretty easily this time. And then we're on to Stage 5. Stage 5, I'm a huge fan of Stage 5. It's a very fun stage. Not too hard, honestly, except for a few parts of it. When you run through it the first few times, it looks a lot more difficult than it is, but with proper routing it becomes manageable. I'm sure this stage has a huge scoring potential. These lanterns here are kind of a unique mechanic. You break them and they start spawning gems. I'm not totally sure if there's any more to it than that. But soon enough, I will be getting my second score extend. This is the Maniac difficulty of the game. There are 3 difficulties: Original, Maniac, and Ultra, and they all have their own scoring mechanics as well. I'm not totally sure if I'm going to play the Ultra mode or win. Definitely not anytime soon, but it is extremely difficult. From what I hear, probably the hardest 1 credit clear of Cave's games, except for SDOJ and Bocce, of course, but that's kind of an outlier. I think only 1 person has ever completed it. I'm not sure which game I'm going to play next. I think I don't really want to stick to 1 game and like go for a huge amount of score for very long. I think I would just rather get as many clears as I can. And there I bombed. I honestly did not need to. I just kind of forgot to switch to the wide shot and clear some popcorn enemies. That part is totally manageable. And here I make sure to run to this dragon as fast as possible, because killing it quickly makes this section trivial. Maybe I'll play Side-Eye Origin. And here we come up to the mid-boss of the stage, which is actually not that bad. Definitely easier than the spider. Only tricky part is you can get kind of trapped by these, but if you just switch to the wide shot for the slowdown, not an issue at all, really. His last pattern can also catch you off guard if you're in a bad spot when he starts it. But if you kill him fast enough, like I did there, it won't even show up. And from here, the stage gets a bit more difficult. These enemies are very annoying, and you definitely want to kill all of these as fast as you can, so you can start dodging this dragon without distractions. And this pattern is not too bad once you just start streaming those walls. If you get caught by those big purple bullets at a bad time, or at a bad position, it can be difficult. And here we're moving into preparing to get the secret ascent. So we need to catch up to this orange dinosaur, follow him so we can kill him as fast as possible, because we need the bullet clear, and then run up to this house and break it. And make sure not to get hit by the bomb fly, or those rider enemies. And another one of these dragons. I swear the pattern's a little more dense on this one. And I had actually already killed him. I bombed after I killed him. Unnecessary, but I panicked a little bit. I should have just trusted the damage. And this guy, just ignore the guys on the side. Get that guy as low as possible, so that you can kill him quickly when he comes out the other side, because this part is quite dense. And proper routing of this section is very important, otherwise you're definitely just going to get walled off. You need to be on the right and follow this green dinosaur left. And you can stream, I mess up there, but you can stream his attacks, so his pattern's a little easier than it looks. And make sure you come over to this dragon as well. Once he's alone, not a big issue. The other one, pretty trivial alone too. And after they're killed, we get into definitely the hardest stage part of the game. I have a route for this, but I mess up, and I kind of panic and lose track of where I'm supposed to be, and so I end up having to bomb twice. Here, as soon as these dinosaurs show up on the right, you have to kill them and move left, but I kind of get walled a little bit, and I have to bomb. And from here, like I said, I don't know where I'm at, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I get pushed up the side of the wall, and I bomb. And that's it for the stage, pretty much. We're on to the final boss now. Coming into it with 3 stocks and 1 bomb, I am very confident in my ability to beat it. Although on a previous run I did lose with 4 stocks, just because of my hubris. I did not want to bomb, and I died for it. On this pattern, I plan not to bomb. It's not that bad. Just make sure you're swapping to avoid those purple walls, to dodge the laughter bullets, I guess. This pattern is quite difficult. I almost get caught here, but managed to get through it. And this next pattern, I always plan to bomb it. Maybe for other people it's not that hard, but for me, the fast bullets I cannot handle. And these get pretty fucking fast. You still want to last through it as long as possible, because right here, my bomb did not last long enough. I bombed too early, and I had to dodge the fastest part of it. But luckily, didn't get hit. And here, no bombs, which is the most fun part of the game to be in, because you can just dodge, not have to worry about bombing. And this pattern is quite fun, but you can get walled if you're unlucky, or don't manage to look ahead far enough. And this pattern is not that bad. I usually don't expect to bomb here. When she pushes you down to the bottom like that, you can get walled by those compacted purple bullets, but it usually doesn't happen. Going up to the top is a little more difficult, but still not that bad. This pattern is really cool. I use the wide shot slowdown to give myself time to think about which red gap I want to go through. If you pick the wrong one, you are going to die. I mean, you can theoretically go through the purple bullets, but it would mostly just be a matter of luck. But I think I managed to get through this whole pattern without getting hit. And now we're on to the insane stuff. This first pattern is very, very, very difficult, but I actually managed to almost get through it entirely without getting hit, which was a shocker to me. To dodge this pattern, you really just have to look for the patterns in the red curtain coming at you. Kind of slide between the gaps instead of dodging them all. This pattern, pretty simple, not that hard to dodge if you're just careful, but I'm taking no chances and I'm just bomb spamming everything because I can. I have enough resources for it, and it will give me the win. And this pattern is ridiculous, extremely difficult, and I always expect to just bomb spam through it, except for the streaming part, which is not that hard. Yeah, it's dodgeable, but very, very hard. But once this pattern is over, I've beaten the game. So that's Mushihimesama Futari 1.5 Maniac mode. Reco normal shot type, 1 credit clear. I think high score 313 million. We can round that up to 314 million, right?